What's up YouTube? Capital G here talking about Necrovalley in this video and why this card might become insanely powerful. Like, it basically might become a broken floodgate, and it already is an extremely strong card, which is kind of crazy to say that Necrovalley could become even stronger, but that is exactly what is happening in the OCG. So we've been talking about erratas a lot over the last couple of days on this channel, and you guys know with the OCG ban list, obviously they errated a bunch of cards like Rescue Cat, Imperial Order, Future Fusion, etc, etc. Some YouTubers have been outspoken saying that they don't like erratas because they feel like it just makes the card a lot weaker. It's not necessarily the same card, and I guess Konami's response to you guys is, okay, we hear you loud and clear, YouTube community, so what you want us to do is buff the card. Like, that must be their mindset, because they just buffed the fuck out of Necrovalley. Like, this card is going to become like low-key broken. It is so much stronger than it was before, and this is the original effect. Well, actually, can I even call it the original effect? If you guys don't know, Necrovalley is one of the strange cards, much like Call of the Haunted, that has a history of getting errated like multiple times. I believe that we are actually on the 7th errata, because this card came out in like Pharaonic Guardians. So this is a super fucking old set. Pharaonic Guardians probably like 2003-ish off the top of my head. Yeah, it's already been errated 6 times, so this will be the 7th one when this eventually comes to the TCG. Now, the current text of Necrovalley says Gravekeeper monsters gain 500 attack and defense. Cards in either player's graveyard cannot be banished, obviously. And then you negate the effect of any card effect that would move a card in the graveyard other than itself to a different place. So if your opponent tries to activate things like Call of the Haunted is obviously trying to take a monster and move it to a different place. It's trying to move it from the graveyard to the field. Necrovalley is a pretty strong card, but get this new effect. Basically, they're taking off the negate the effect of a card that would move a card in the graveyard other than itself to a different place, and they're changing that with let me see if I can find it. Negate any effect that applies to cards in the graveyard. That is fucking insane. Now let me just put it into perspective. Basically, the way that you would kind of work around the current version of Necrovalley is if there was a card that activated in the graveyard that moved itself, things like Glow Up Bulb, or things like, what's another example? Well, you couldn't use Spore, because Spore would have to banish to summon it. Glow Up Bulb was an example, Zephyros the Elite, Grapha the Dark World. Those are all monsters that move themselves. This new one basically says no to all of those. In addition, entire archetypes could get fucked by this. Think about Paleozoics, guys. That's an entire archetype that revolves around a bunch of trap monsters being able to activate from the graveyard and then summon themselves to the field, and this just says no to all of that. Madoche is another example, because Madoches all activate in the graveyard and then they move themselves to the deck. Like, they won't be able to activate at all, which means, actually, wouldn't Madoche Ticket kind of be dead too? Because I think Madoche Ticket, like, every time Madoche is sent from like the graveyard back to the deck, then I think you trigger Madoche Ticket, so that like obviously wouldn't work. So it's like you're killing the Madoche archetype in like completely. Even cards that aren't even necessarily like monsters that you think about, like even cards like Metaphos Fusion. You guys know the second effect where basically you you put it back into your deck and you shuffle and then you draw a card. Like, even something like that just would not work. So Necrovalley is going to be incredibly good, and you got to think about it like this: if shit like Soul Drain in the TCG is already limited to 1, this is way better than something like Soul Drain, because not only does it pretty much cover the same ground as a card like Soul Drain, well, almost the same ground, but in addition, obviously your opponent can never banish cards, and then if you're playing like Gravekeepers, you obviously get the 500 attack gain. And the thing that is important here, Necrovalley still, like, this new buff Necrovalley, it still stops all the old shit, like the Call of the Haunteds, the Return of the Dragon Lords, and things like Soul Charge. Like, all of those cards will still be stopped by this new Necrovalley effect. It just means that Necrovalley is going to stop even more shit. So this is an extremely powerful card, getting a huge buff. And let me know what you guys think of this. I think that this is kind of weird, because I just think it was like unnecessary, but Necrovalley is going to be like insanely good, and it was already a good card. Again, I ran in my barrier statues, and I would certainly fucking run it now, because you know, there are a lot of annoying cards in the meta that can move themselves, and just, you know, shit won't be able to move themselves now anymore. I think trying to think of another comment. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Anyways, let me know what you guys think. How good do you guys think that Necrovalley is going to become now? Anyways, leave that in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching as always, and subscribe if you have not already.